Why are financially successful or financially stable men lonely in 2022? Well, I took a look at the data and you might be fascinated. Men are lonelier in America than ever before. We're working harder, marrying later, having less kids, and we even have less male friendships. And with the advent of online dating and guys that have it and guys that don't, and the crazy inequality in distribution, a lot of younger men aren't getting as much sex as previous generations. According to the data, if you are single, there's a 90% chance that you are sexless. I know this to be true because when I coach my clients, I can see the patterns, right? Most men don't know how to consistently attract women and have the option of that intimacy. And when they do, it's in the form of a relationship, and a lot of times it's a relationship they feel like they compromise to get into to try to get something out of it, which in my opinion is a little bit toxic. Now, why do wealthy guys still feel lonely? It's because wealth doesn't equal value in relationships. On the superficial surface level, you would think it does, but in fact, when a guy uses money to get women, the women secretly resent him. And if his money was ever lost, he wouldn't be able to keep her. And she likes him not for him, but for what he can provide. I have high profile clients who are financially well off, but you can tell that they're not happy, or they know themselves that in the past when they use money as a trade-off for relationships, that it never quite works out. Financially successful guys, the things that got them to where they are now is actually sometimes counterproductive, right? They think they're intelligent. They usually are. They argue very well. They're very logical. They're very driven. When they talk to someone, even on a date, sometimes it feels like an interview, like they're checking off boxes. They're go-getters. They're entrepreneurs. They have a very strategic mindset, right? They're there to hustle, to win wars, to win battles, to win the game. But that very hustle, that very mentality is actually a detriment when it comes to dating. In dating, it's not how much you try, it's how much you look like you're not trying. In dating, it's not about logical conversations, it's about the emotional undertone of what's not being said, okay? In dating, it's not checklist. When the girl's telling you something, she's not looking for a solution, bro. She's looking for empathy, so the fact that you just can listen to her. How many times have I heard a client say, I was giving her solutions, especially engineers, when in fact the very solution itself is just to sit there, be present, and listen. To them, this is like a foreign language. Like they don't understand, like I didn't a long time ago, that women speak a different language, attraction speaks a different language. So they have to unlearn everything that made them successful in business, and they have to relearn how flirting works, how real attraction works, how connection triggers work, how to stay connected and present with someone, how to almost learn a new language in the land of women in a way that when words are spoken or unspoken, that there's this effortless draw for the feminine. And that is the hardest part for guys that are financially successful. If you have money, I coach some of my higher end clients to use that money efficiently to trade it. And the way I think about it is like a currency, like a Forex exchange. You want to use the minimum amount of money possible to do what I call a setup. Now, I'm not a fan of Dan Bilzerian, but in his new book, he describes very well what that means. You use the money in order to create a setup, a situation where a lot of the type of women you consider hot are competing over you. And you create that setup and intimacy happens automatically. And that is the fastest and easiest way to do that. What most rich guys do is that they think that they tell the girl he's rich, or they use money somehow as leverage. Like, oh, come out to our pool party, I got the table. And this usually backfires. Again, because secretly girls, what they're really attracted to is fun, good looking guy, the energy field. And when she settles for a guy who's just rich and can provide that lifestyle or the idea of that lifestyle, over time she starts to resent him because she's like, this is not the type of alpha guy that I really want, and he's using money to control me. If you don't believe me, here's a story. I had a client's friend who was an engineer and he didn't have a lot of experience, and he, unlike my client, he wasn't willing to believe that this is a skill. He didn't believe in dating coaching. So one day they went to Vegas, and long story short is he went to the strip club. There was they were at a work party, and then some of the guys left work and they went to the strip club in Vegas, and then suddenly my client's friend disappears around like 10 p.m. and he's gone the whole night. Now my client, as you can imagine, was worried, and he would call him and make sure he's okay, and he didn't hear from him the whole night. Then in the morning, he gets a call finally around 10 a.m. from his friend, and he's like, hey, come up, I'm in room XYZ. So my client goes up to the room, he looks around, and he sees this guy standing by the window, and then the first words out of his mouth was, I think I'm in love. Later on, he found out that the client's friend had spent over $10,000 that night on an exotic dancer. I won't spoil the story for you, but let's just say that relationship was very transactional. he didn't even see it. He was thinking about taking her to see his mom. Okay, he couldn't even clearly see what was going on. He was just so in love. Now, this is an extreme example of a guy who was very successful in business, very logical, left brain, but he couldn't figure out the social undertones of dating. And that's what I'm afraid of, because when you have money as a crutch, it's really, really easy to use it to try to solve problems. But money only solves money problems. If you try to use money to solve relationship problems, I guarantee you, if you don't have the communication skills to manage people and back it up, eventually people will either resent you or they become dependent on you. And in neither of these scenarios is life great, okay? You will feel like someone is taking and sucking like a leech out of your life. So please take that money and invest it into yourself. Invest it into your knowledge. Invest it in a coach. You don't even have to use me. Invest it in someone who knows what they're doing, who can teach you the basic principles of attraction and connection and the social skills you need to navigate your way through. If you consider me a good coach, if you want help with that, check out the links below. I do private coaching. My digital products have gotten amazing reviews, and it can help you speed up that process. For my clients that don't have any financial issues, in particular, the ones that are making bank, right? Usually there's a way I teach them to set up their lifestyle so that they get a huge abundance, whether it's intimacy or just having a lot of options to pick the right girl as a future wife. And the reason I know this stuff is because when I was learning my social skills at one point in time, I met this mentor of mine, and we made a lot of money together in a very short period of time. And I was at the time in my 20s, and I set up this lifestyle where I figured out the optimal online dating frame, the sites to use, the sites that no one knows about, and the social circle setup. I had a perfect setup of a team of really great people that just consistently got me the most attractive girls in the city. So at some point I should probably package this whole system into a product, but right now it's just in my head. I would love to share it, but I don't want to share it on YouTube because it's not something that should be shared publicly, but it's something that would be amazing when I teach it in the one-on-one private training. So if you are interested in that, contact me using the links below. And I hope this video was helpful for you if you're financially set, but you're still coming into walls when it comes to dating, okay?